So good morning and welcome to the Resources for Washington Businesses free webinar sponsored by the Kittitas Chamber of Commerce. We're glad to be here this morning in partnership with the Employment Security Department Shared Work Program. Today we have three programs benefiting employers and helping employers understand good information and make informed decisions. We have the Shared Work Program, paid leave, paid family medical leave, and the UI tax and wage reporting. We're going to go in particular order, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A at the very end. And so if you have any questions throughout, feel free to put them in the chat. Just sit back and enjoy because this session is being recorded. And within 24 hours, it will be posted on our website, and that information will be posted in the chat so that you can click on it, take a picture of it, and have the information available to you. My name is Rafael Colon. I'm the Business Outreach Manager for Employment Security's business-friendly programs and the Shared Work program. And it's a pleasure to have you here this morning. So thank you for joining us. So that we're not delayed in any way, I'd like to have you meet our sponsor of this event, Katie Esty. She's the Director of Outreach and Economic Advancement. And so we're glad to have her as the co-sponsor of this. And so welcome, Katie. We're glad to be here. What do you have for us?
Thank you. Yeah, like you said, my name is Katie Estes. I'm filling in for our CEO today, who's Amy McGuffin of the Kittitas County Chamber of Commerce. My role as outreach and economic advancement is really to just find resources and supply these resources, like this webinar, for example, to our business owners and our community here in Kittitas County. We really try hard to find third-party organizations or businesses that have exceptional experience in discussions like this and just providing a free service to the public here in Kittitas County. And so I'm really excited that these webinars have been happening the last few months. I look forward to the ones this fall. And yeah, I think these are just great, valuable resources for the public to know about. And I love that they're recorded so we can share them. Yeah, and I'm currently in Clallam, Washington. We do cover all of Kittitas County businesses. My territory is from Elk Heights to Snoqualmie Pass, so kind of have a wide range of rural towns that I cover and focus on. But yeah, I'm just excited to be here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Partnerships like this happen because of visionary leaders like Amy and Katie who are looking for resources, timely information to businesses to just help them gather and be able to make informed decisions on businesses, on resources, government resources that they pay for out of their tax dollars. So, Katie, thank you so much for your support. We look forward at the conclusion of this to sharing some of the upcoming webinars that are coming up in September, and then any other exciting events that you'll be sharing with us as well. So look forward to the open mic session at the conclusion. So what we'd like to do, I'd like to introduce you to our speakers today, our presenters, and we'll go in this order. We have Lee Rowley. She's the Shared Work Program Coordinator, does outreach for us and webinar and live presentations, and she'll talk a little bit about Shared Work. Then we'll welcome Jenna Black. She's the UI Program Supervisor in the Unemployment Insurance area of tax and wage and collections and a bunch of things that she has. She'll tell you all about that. She wears many hats with her team, and supporting her in the chat is Meredith Cole. Supporting us in the chat is Karina Rican. And then we have Liz Boot. She's the Service Delivery Manager with the Leave Care Division, and she'll cover the paid family and medical leave program. So we're excited to begin. Thanks, Katie, for the warm welcome. And let's go ahead and turn it over to Lee Rowley to share with us information about the great Shared Work program. Welcome, Lee, and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Katie, and everyone for having me here. So Shared Work is a program that has been a part of the Employment Security Department since 1983, and I would love to tell you more about that. Oh, looks like I'm paused. Here we go. So now the states highlighted in green on my screen are the ones currently offering Shared Work or similar programs. So it's run in Washington State since 1983. And here are the top 5 reasons nationally that employers sign up for these types of short-time compensation programs: due to a loss of a contract or reduction in work, to maintain employee morale, in response to an economic downturn, to reduce payroll costs, or to reduce the cost of hiring and training new employees. So now let's take a look at what the SharedWork program does in Washington State. So SharedWork is our state's name for the program. Our program has been around for 30 or 40 years, and it requires that the employers sign up, and it allows the employees to collect a portion of their unemployment insurance benefits, meaning that instead of employees looking for other work to receive unemployment insurance benefits, they commit to being able and available for their employer instead of a work search. So employees are able to collect a portion of unemployment insurance benefits when you, the employer, decide to reduce their hours to save on payroll costs. So this is a program where employers are signing up to save initially to reduce their workforce, to cut hours instead of jobs, to curb their bottom line, and really just to have this program in their back pocket and to be prepared. The program I have over here, that in 1983, they brought this program together to provide greater flexibility in the payment of unemployment compensation benefits, and in situations where they want to keep workers and employers together because it benefits the entire community, and especially, as we know, families too, because they rely on usually health insurance benefits, retirement contributions. We're all laced in with our employers, right? So turnover is a lot of employers are using this program to avoid high turnover, to retain their workforce. So in Washington State, the program has been proven to raise employee morale, to retain skilled workers, and employers would recommend it to other employers. Perhaps if you haven't heard about it, it's because we don't have very open and honest conversations about layoffs and what we're doing to avoid workforce reductions or to curb payroll costs. We might talk more about having to being, maybe unsure about bringing on new staff due to the ups and downs in the economies, or how we handle the burdens of the harder times of our economy, but we may not be so apt to spread the SharedWork word around. But we're really trying to change that with our program, because this has a powerful way to keep employers and employees together through a short term or a short time economic downturn. So for businesses to participate in the program, you must be a legally registered business with an ESD number. You must have at least two permanent employees that qualify for the plan. You can call our number and we'll tell you right away if you're eligible. I have our number on the last slide here. And then you commit to providing the same benefits to the employees. So if you're providing health insurance benefits or retirement contributions, those programs stay in place while on the SharedWork program, because really it's about just a temporary workforce reduction to save on payroll costs, to keep those employees intact, and allowing them to tap into those unemployment insurance benefits to supplement their income and their gap in wages. So for employees, permanent, part-time, and full-time employees can participate in SharedWork. The employee must have a valid UI claim, which means that they worked 680 hours in their base year. That includes all employment and all employers, so that can be different for each employee. The maximum payment right now, so if you were to lay off a worker, they would the maximum they could collect is 26 weeks of unemployment insurance benefits at $1,019 each week. So with SharedWork, you keep their hours at 50% or more. Right, and SharedWork can also work alongside a standby and other situations. Now, for a more complex thing, I would recommend reaching out to your local WorkSource business services team. And I think Raphael has a slide about that at the end. But to just give you a basic scenario of what this can do, this program, to show it in a sense, we have Anna Ramirez. She is an employer, this picture here, Boggs Home Inspection Services up in Lacey, your Northley neighbor. Now, if she needed to reduce her bottom line by 18 to 20%, just because of the market changing in the housing industry, that means she'd need to let go of 2, possibly 3 employees. So instead, what she does is she calls the SharedWork phone number, our 1-800-752-2500, option 3. And she finds out that she's eligible. She sees that the application is only 2 pages long, and she can submit her participant list enrolling all of her employees. When she finds out who's eligible for the program, she can let them know that their hours will be reduced, and at the end of that week, they would need to file a claim with SharedWork to receive a portion of their unemployment insurance benefits without losing their job and without having to search for other work. So if, let's see. So in order to do this workforce reduction, I have another example here. So instead, as we mentioned, instead of letting go of her employees, she enrolls in the SharedWork program. Now, the first week of the program would be considered a waiting week. Employees are in Washington State before being able to use unemployment insurance benefits. You have to serve 1 week where you would receive no benefits. So if you were to lay off a worker, their first week would be without pay and without wages. Now on SharedWork, what the employer can do is keep them at 90% of their work. So maybe just cutting the workday by noon on Friday and telling everyone to go. And then that would actually qualify as the waiting week, and the employees would also receive 90% of their earned wages. So that's a nice perk, right? And then after that, the program is really flexible. So I have a few different weeks just to show you the different scenarios. So she wants to reduce her payroll cost by 50%, her payroll budget. So she goes, okay, across the board, office staff, crews, everybody, you're reduced down to 50%. Week 4, she goes, okay, well, that was a lot of reduction. There are 3 workers. I still need full staff. I need them at full 40, but there are a few workers over here. I can reduce them down by 20% or 30%. And then our final week, she's going to reduce everybody but one important staff member that week. Maybe her accountant has to process some things. So she'll keep that person at 40, but everyone else is at a reduction. Now she's really saving a lot in payroll costs, and not a single layoff has occurred. Not a single employee is concerned about their job stability or their income stability. And over here I have, how much would an employee get paid on SharedWork? Now, if you have a 40-hour employee, and let's say that they find out they'll get a letter in the mail of their weekly benefit amount, and they'll be able to go over to this chart. And if they're a 35-hour, 20-hour week, there's a different chart for those employees as well. But let's say you had a full-time 40-hour week employee. Now they'll be able to take their weekly benefit amount, that number they got in the mail, multiply it by this rate to know their exact amount of supplemental wages. So that provides them with some financial security, also that they're working more than 50% of their hours usually, and that they're not having to see their peers or to see layoffs happen. They know that their employee is doing this for their benefit. So signing up is really easy, as mentioned. It's an application that's 2 pages, front and back, and you submit a list of participants. Those are your employees. I recommend putting everybody on the plan. That way you'll find out who's eligible. You can communicate it to them, and then run your program as such. But while you have the opportunity to make the widest payroll reduction, and just to protect your back pocket by putting everyone on your plan and being prepared. You don't have to make workforce reductions or commit to any time period other than providing that employee with a 24-hour notice if their hours are reduced. Now, again, their job is committing to being able and available to you, the employer. So now, once the employer plan is approved, that also means you'll assign a SharedWork representative, 1 or 2 contacts. We recommend 2 points of contact, and that can also be if you work with a third-party payroll representative. They can also be a third point of contact, so they can check on your plan and make phone call, get questions answered with our staff. Now, when employees file, they'll file weekly claims. They'll report their earned wages or how many hours they worked, what holiday pay they received, sick time, and you'll receive a payment report, and you'll double check that for accuracy and let us know if that amount is off. And you'll do that. That's plans last for 1 year, and plans can be renewed. There's no cost to enroll. As you can see, it is fast, free, and easy to get started. And this program really works. So that employer scenario that you saw, Anna Boggs, here's what she has to say about the program. Once we signed on board, employees felt a sense of relief that they didn't have to go look for another job to supplement their income. And also, they didn't feel that they had to compromise their loyalty and the commitment to the company. When they had the hours, they are committed and dedicated. And when they are not, they understand that the work is going to come. And let's see here. I think I have a few people. Well, I don't have anyone from your neck of the woods, unfortunately. Right now, we only have 2 employers in your county that are participating in the SharedWork program, but 598 businesses in your county are eligible. So we could really use your help in getting the word out and about this important program. Because as you can see, although 2 businesses, only 2, are actively using the SharedWork in your county, that's having a job impact and protecting 113 jobs in your county. So that is actually making a positive and noticeable impact, even at a very small drop. So what we'd like to do is encourage employers to sign up for this plan, encourage friends that you know, and that that this program is easy, it's efficient, and it helps you manage your bottom line. And so if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. Option 3 is the new plan inquiry. One more thing I'll say about the program is that our SharedWork team is a small and dedicated staff. We are led by a program leader who's been in charge of this program for over 20 years. And we are committed and dedicated to providing outstanding customer service. So getting started, just giving us a call, finding out if you're eligible is super easy, can be done in minutes. But once you're on the plan, getting help for yourself, getting questions answered, getting employees that have maybe need forms in Spanish, maybe need more support or hands-on support, you're putting them in our hands instead of on the long lines for the main ESD. Since we do serve a smaller group of employers and smaller batch of employees, it's not, these are people that have signed up for this program. It's a dedicated customer support and working with us. So I encourage you to apply, and if you do have any questions, we have a standing weekly Wednesday webinar at 10:45, and you can always drop in and ask your questions. All right, with that, I'll turn it back over to Raphael. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you about the SharedWork program.
Great job, Lee. Thank you for that great overview. And Lee will be joining us at the end of the next 2 presentations during the open mic and Q&A session, where you get a chance to ask her any questions that you may have at that time. Karina, thank you for the links in the chat. Throughout Lee's presentation, Karina was adding particular links to the website so that you can click on those, take a picture of them, and have them so that you can go directly to whether it's eligibility or whether it's forms or see the video, any of those things. So thank you, Karina, for taking care of that. So this next slide is something that Lee had mentioned about contacting your local work source representatives. What's important about this is that we work statewide with a variety of WorkSource offices and our workforce partners in Washington State, and we encourage you to start with them. Why? Is because you pay for those services, and you should know what those services are and how they can help you. So it's important you start there. You can go to worksourcewa.com and you go under Resources tab, and then you look for the WorkSource locator there, and then you'll put in your county, and it'll look down in the arrow as a small little arrow there that says Business Services. And then you would click on that and it will give you the local number for the business services team in that area. Reach out to them, get to know them, invite them to your business or go see them at their operations and ask them, what is it that you can do for me to help me? They could be an extension of your HR. Maybe you're wearing the HR hat as well. And maybe you're wearing the finance hat or the accountant hat. You have all those hats as a small business owner. But if you don't, and you have 1 or 2 employees who you want to be informed and educated about what those services are that can help them, please do that. It will be a great time investment, a good return on your investment of time by getting to know all the services that they offer and how they can help you with your business, sustain it, thrive it, grow it, and help you get to a point where maybe you want to add on additional staff as well. And they provide a number of services from recruitment, job fairs, hiring events, job postings, way that can help you, especially to find talent in this very tight labor market right now as they get to know you and you get to know them. So we strongly encourage that. We want to conclude with our next slide, giving you numbers that are important that you should have. You should take a picture of this, print out the slide when you can download it in 24 hours. These are important numbers that are always, don't know why, but they seem to be hard to find within our website or just doing a search or just in general. So here's a slide that has the important phone numbers, and at the conclusion of the next presentations, you'll get phone numbers as well from colleagues that give you direct phone numbers to reach them if you have any hiccups with questions or program challenges. But here they are with active links. You can go to them, visit our website. I encourage you to spend 15 minutes a week on any of these websites, and you will see the return on investment with you as a small business owner, learning about what's out there in order to make informed decisions for your business and for your team, for your workforce. So here they are. They're 800 numbers. As you can see, sometimes they're in the lower italics here. Option 3 is the option to you as an employer to have direct access, and these lines are answered frequently. We try and avoid long wait lines, and right now is a very good time because things are at a very good pace right now where we can get to you very quickly, and there's in many cases no wait. So something to be aware of. We're excited to share this with you. We're excited to offer you information that's timely for you, and we look forward to hearing from you. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Jenna Black. She's the UI program supervisor in the Unemployment Insurance Division, and she's here to share with you information on UI tax and wage reporting. Welcome, Jenna. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. My name is Jenna Black. I am the supervisor in the Account Management Center for Unemployment Insurance, Tax, and Wage. So anytime you call that 855 number, the first staff you're going to get to are mine. We do have folks that answer the calls. They may transfer you to someone who can better answer them, but our goal is always to get you what you need with that single phone call. Next slide, please. So things that we do here in tax and wage in our various units is we handle report filing and payments, any questions you have related to that. Tax rate calculations and relief of benefit charges are handled in our rates unit. And then wage and hour adjustments, which we call amendments, penalty waivers and refunds, those are handled by our tax accounting unit. And then any account setup, all of that is obviously registration. Next slide, please. So each quarter, when you have employees, you have a number of reports that are filed. One of them is unemployment insurance, which is us. And so it's a good calendar reminder for yourself because they're all going to be due at the same time. UI, PFML, labor and industries, they're each quarterly. You have the month following the quarter end to get your report filed. We always say it's better to file a little bit earlier rather than waiting. You never know, you might have a system overload, etc. So being on top of your stuff is always a good thing, just in case. Our filing system is available on our website, esd.wa.gov. It will automatically calculate your taxes due for you. You don't have to do any math there. Just make sure you're entering in your correct information. If for some reason you do have a mistake on a report or something, there's a paycheck that didn't get calculated, you would do what's called an amendment to correct those reports. If you add wages after the fact, so past when that quarter was due, it could be subject to penalties and possibly impact your tax rate depending on how far back you go. Next slide, please. One thing that we have for unemployment insurance is what we call excess wages. And so this is everything that your employees earn is reportable, but once they hit a certain wage base, which for 2023 is 67,600, they're no longer taxable. So you'd still tell us that they earned that money, but you're not going to pay UI tax on it anymore above that amount. It is per employee, not total wages. That is something that confuses people sometimes. And the way that we would figure this out here, if your employee has earned 55,000 for the year, you're paying UI tax on that 55,000. If they hit, say in December, that 68,000, you're paying tax, UI tax up to that 67,600, but that additional $400 is no longer taxable, even though it's on the tax report. Next slide, please. All right, common questions. This is what happens a lot in my unit since we take the majority of the inbound calls. A lot of the ones that we get are, I got this billing statement, what is it? Our billing statements can be 3 to 4 pages long, and so some of the good stuff is buried on the third page. Typical reasons you're going to get a bill is going to be we're missing a report, or there was a payment didn't go through, or something to that effect. How do I file and pay my taxes? We have on our website little how-to videos. They're 2-minute snippets, so they're real easy to get through to answer most of the common questions and show you how to do things with our filing system. But we also have our staff that will help you get started and roll through your first report so that you get a handle on it and how to do it. Other things that can happen, changes in ownership, you moved your business, closed, you no longer have employees, all those. We have business change form or an owner officer change form. We can tell you where to find them, but they're also available on our website. And then, like I spoke earlier, those amendments, anything that you need to fix on a prior quarterly filing. We have this one right here, I received a benefit charge notices. We have 2 things that go out when an employee files a claim. One is this benefit charge notice. This just lets you know that your former employee filed for benefits. It's not a bill, it's not anything like that. It's just letting you know they filed for benefits. This is the potential amount that could be attributed to your business. If you were the last employer of record, you'll also get what's called a request for separation information. That's where you basically get to tell us your side of what happened, why they're no longer working for you. So do fill that one out and get it back to us. Sometimes you'll get a benefit charge notice, but for an employee that hasn't worked for you for a while, maybe you weren't their last employer of record, that's totally fine. You can request relief of benefit charges, this UI files at esd.wa.gov, or there will be instructions on there as well for you to get back to us and say, hey, this person left, I have nothing to do with this, right? Next slide, please. Okay, everyone's favorite, especially come December, tax rates. Our tax rate for UI is made up of 3 different components. So your UI rate, which is the largest chunk, the social cost, that is, there's a very small percentage of UI claims that aren't really attributable to anybody, and so everyone altogether in the state shares that. And then we have the EAF, which is the Employment Administrative Fund. This is on-the-job training, certain things like that. For 2023, that social cost was capped at 0.7%. Post-pandemic, everyone knows everything got a little crazy. And so trying to keep those rates manageable, there were some laws that went into effect to cap certain rate increases. Once you've been in business for 2 years, you will have your own employee experience rating. Prior to that, when you first start, you get the industry average for whatever industry you're in, and then you build your own. And so each business has a different tax rate. So we can't tell you over the phone, oh, you're a restaurant, your rate's going to be X, because some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower based on their own individual rates. And then something that's coming up here that's very important and that we try and remind people is September 30th is the deadline for us. And that is, we need to have everything cleaned up. That's all the delinquent reports, any payments that are past due need to be in by September 30th because that's when we start getting into the rate calculations for the next year. And so if you're behind on anything after September 30th, it could impact your rate for the following year. And then we mail out those tax rate notices in December. If for some reason you get a tax rate notice and you think it looks just beyond crazy, you can always request a review of your tax rates. Those requests do have to be in writing. We can't take them verbally over the phone. And so you just want to send an email to this uifiles@esd.wa.gov. That is our inbound documents email address. Next slide, please. All right, benefit charge notices, talked about those a little bit earlier. These are things that factor into your tax rates. So claims against your account, relief of charges that you maybe requested, and then if you do request relief of benefit charges, there are several different reasons. These are just a couple of the top ones here. Someone voluntarily quit, they were discharged for violating company policy, there was an certain things. So there are some things that are reasons that we would be able to grant these relief of charges. There's, like I said, more than this. But these are just kind of the top ones. Next slide. All right, so third quarter of 22, we upgraded our filing system, and it is the only one that is available now. We had two for a while, and it was a little bit confusing because one was EAMS and one was upgraded EAMS. So now we just have upgraded EAMS. It's a lot nicer. It's more interactive with the employers as far as them being able to maintain their own account and who has access to it. There are quicker filing times. Previously, it would take 24 to 48 hours for a report to land in our system. The lag now is 6 hours, and that's just so that everyone can use the system and not have any crashes. We also have standard occupational classification codes. There's a lookup system within the filing system. Those became required, and so we have it all integrated with our filing system now. Next slide, please. A little bit more about SOC codes. It's a federal coding system, and they, like I said, became required Q4 22. The information that is in there just lets us know what areas are growing, where trends are in the workforce. A lot of these are used by colleges for, what programs are going to be in demand for students coming into them, and maybe what industries need some help with growth. Became part of a bill in 2019 and is now implemented. I believe there are 6 or 7 states that are using it. SOC is a federal classification, and so we in Washington don't manage those codes. It's actually a federal website. It's called ONET Online. And so you can look up those codes there, or if you're creating a job, you can kind of figure out what those are. You can also look at some of the trends on ONET and see results of the information that have been gathered in all of these states. If you have any questions, we have a dedicated team that does just SOC code help, because some of them are not always easy to find. The name of a job does not necessarily reflect the duties of that job, and so we always recommend, if you're searching for a SOC code, look for the duties, not necessarily the job title. A program coordinator may not actually match the duties of what someone does. So that was just one example that we've struggled with. So, next slide, please. All right. So I'm not going to talk too much about PFML and WACARES simply because they are not part of our program. We all belong to ESD. However, UI is a federal program, whereas PFML and WACARES are state programs. And so they are separate from us. They do have separate reporting. PFML and WACARES will be reported together, but UI is still going to be separate from them. We have some contact information here for them. If you call us at our 855-829-9243 number, we can't answer questions about their program because it's separate. We don't have access to their system, but we will give you their contact information to help you get through to them. Next slide, please. All right, and then lastly for us, these are just some important contact informations that we have. Meredith Cole is our tax accounting and rate supervisor. And then the account management center, this 855-829-9243, that is my staff. And then our boss, Denise Craig. So if you truly think that we stink and we're horrible, she will answer. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jenna. That's fantastic. And the fact that you're putting numbers out there for people to contact directly is important. I think the leadership with Denise and Jenna and Meredith and the team of leaders that are taking place at the unemployment insurance is improving our service delivery to employers every day. And we welcome your feedback. We welcome your concerns. So that's great. You have direct lines to reach them. Everything we can do to help you is what we're trying to do. We want to load you for success. That's the service delivery model we have. Yes, there are rules and regulations and requirements. We just want to make sure that you understand those and are in compliance. And to navigate the system is what we want to help you do. So feel free to reach out. Jenna, we're always grateful to have you, and I know that you'll be joining us for the Q&A as well. So thank you so much for that high level and great overview and detail as well. So know that this is being recorded, and the PowerPoint slide deck will also be available along with the recording within 24 hours on a link that's listed in our chat. And so right now I'd like to welcome our colleague from the Leave and Care Division. She's the service delivery manager for that division and is responsible for paid family and medical leave. And her name is Liz Boot, and we're glad to have you, Liz. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here today. I am a service delivery manager for paid family and medical leave, which is part of the Leave and Care division. Leave and Care administers both paid family medical leave and WACARES, but our topic for today is paid family and medical leave. And for our agenda today, we will be taking a look at an overview of our program, including what the program can be used for, who it covers, who it doesn't, and eligibility guidelines. We'll also review employer roles and responsibilities as they apply to our program. So paid family and medical leave provides paid time off when you need it most. It's here for you when a serious health condition prevents you from working, when you need to care for a family member or a new child, or for certain military-related events. Please keep in mind this is completely a separate program from the paid sick time through labor and industries. Oftentimes people have questions about how those two connect, or they believe that we have that paid sick time and they call us with questions related to that program, and that's through labor and industries. Our program is specifically paid family and medical leave. And who does this apply to? It applies to all workers and their employers within Washington. Now, there are some exceptions that are written within our law. So those exceptions would include federal employees, people employed by tribal-owned businesses on tribal land, self-employed people who don't opt into the state program, workers covered by a collective bargaining agreement that hasn't expired, been reopened or renegotiated since October 19th of 2017, and workers covered by their employer's approved voluntary plan. So a high-level benefit overview includes the first step is becoming eligible. So generally all hours worked in Washington count towards eligibility. That includes part-time, full-time, temporary, seasonal work, and it includes hours across multiple jobs or employers. Then they would apply directly through ESD using the online portal through Secure Access Washington instead of with the employer, like they do for the federal FMLA program. Employers may not apply on behalf of their employees. And we do also have options available for those that need a reasonable accommodation or may have a hardship or barriers with online access. Individuals would just want to reach out and contact our program so we can help them if they do encounter those barriers. And then the final step is determining the eligibility and if the leave can be approved. And in order to do that, we require certification documents, which are available on our website from the employee. That employee provides those certification documents to be filled out and completed by their healthcare provider, and then turned in as part of their application if they're applying for medical leave. Additionally, there are two primary parts for benefit eligibility. So in order to be eligible for this benefit, first we need to determine the hours worked within the qualifying period. The qualifying period basically means the last year. Normally, it's the first 4 of the last 5 completed calendar quarters. But if that does not meet the 820, then we would take a look at the last 4 completed calendar quarters as reported by employers quarterly. We would only be able to include any hours worked for any Washington employer within that time frame. So if an individual moved here from out of state and maybe they were living in California for the first 4 or 5 months, we would not be able to include those hours that were worked in another state to meet that 820 time frame. The next component would be determining the qualifying event, which may include a serious health condition of the employee or their family member, a birth or placement of a child, or certain military connected events such as exigency. So our program can be used for 2 different types of leave. First is medical leave needed for a serious health condition. Serious health condition is defined within our law and must be certified using a form or document completed and signed by a healthcare provider. Medical leave would also include the recovery from a birth or surgery, treatment for an ongoing or chronic condition, and recovery can be done at home or in a health facility. The second type of leave that employees may use with our program is family leave. Family leave is used when caring for others instead of themselves and will include bonding leave for parents in the first year after the birth or placement of a child under 18, includes adoption and foster care. Or foster parents. Care for a family member experiencing a serious health condition. Military family leave broadly related to overseas deployments. The statute references the federal law related to military exigencies covered by FMLA. Our definition of family member includes spouses and domestic partners, children, biological, adopted, foster, or stepchild, parents and legal guardians, or the spouse's parents, siblings, grandchildren, grandparents, or spouse's grandparents, son-in-law, daughter-in-law. And there was a change to our law that was made after implementation to include anyone who has an expectation to rely on you for care. So it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody within the typical definition of family, but if they, are family by relation and not necessarily by blood and they rely on you for care, you may be able to apply to our program to help support during that time that you're caring for them. So what is a serious health condition? Generally includes serious illnesses and injuries, pregnancy, chronic conditions, and some substance abuse and mental health treatment. It is defined within our law, and it's up to a healthcare provider to diagnose and certify. Generally, it does not include the common cold, flu, earache, upset stomach, headaches other than migraines, and cosmetic treatments. Of course, we would take a look at whatever documentation was provided, because some of those things, such as earaches or upset stomachs, may also be a symptom of a more serious health condition. So we always encourage people to apply if they believe that they have a serious health condition. How much time is available? So our program offers 12 typical work week hours per claim year for either medical or family leave. Typical work week hours means the hours typically worked, not always a standard 40 hours. So if an employee is part-time and they work 20 hours per week, we would multiply that typical work week hour as reported quarterly by the employer by 12 to determine a bank of hours for that type of leave. And if an employee has a need to use both medical leave for themselves and family leave for bonding or caring for a family member in the same claim year, then it is combined leave available for 16 weeks. Again, typical work weeks, not standard 40-hour week necessarily. There are some individuals who are, salaried individuals if their employer is reporting them as salaried, or if the employee indicates salaried at the time of application, then that would be 40 hours per week because it's defined in our law that way. But if an individual is a part-time employee, they may still qualify if they meet that 820. So the combined amount would be 16 weeks, and that means if they have a new child and they are bonding with that child for 12 weeks, and they have a medical condition or a serious medical condition later in the year, then they would have 4 weeks remaining in order to take medical leave for a combined amount of 16 weeks. In the event that an employee experiences a complication to a pregnancy, they may be eligible for an additional 2 weeks for a total of 18 weeks. Next slide, please. And what does the application life cycle look like? So once an application is received, the employer notification is sent. We verify identity, check for completeness, and begin review. Next, if fact-finding is needed, if there's anything missing within the application or something doesn't make sense or we need additional information, then the specialist that's working that case would reach out to the employer if we need additional employer information, or they would reach out to the applicant if something is missing that the applicant needs to provide, like an updated medical certification or documentation of birth, something like that. So if there is a need for additional information, then the application would go through fact finding. If all of the information is available at the time that they apply, they've gone through, there's checklists available on our website, there's guides available on our website to make sure that they understand the components and all the information that's needed. If they provide all the information up front and no fact-finding is needed, then the application is approved or denied. If fact-finding is needed, then once we get through fact-finding and we have a complete set of information, then we would make a decision on that information for approval or denial. Individuals can submit an application if they're still waiting to receive medical documentation from their healthcare provider. While it is ideal to have it all beforehand, someone can submit their application while waiting, but please note that we may have to move forward with the decision if that certification is not received in a timely manner after submission. But this can help avoid backdating issues. If we are able to leave a detailed message, that is very helpful. Only certain information can be sent over email. So one of the newer features within our program is once somebody applies, that gives them the option of secure message. So they can basically send the equivalent of a text message through their portal to be received by the individual that's working their claim. Next slide, please. Okay, once a decision is received, if they are approved for benefits, then next they would be needing to file weekly claims. So in order to get paid, they have to file a weekly claim. An approval of the application does not initiate any type of payment. They file those weekly claims either online through their portal where they applied, or over the phone with one of our specialists. And our week begins on Sunday and ends on the following Saturday. Well, that may seem, pretty standard. We do know that there's some large employers out there who run their week Monday to Sunday, and so that can cause some confusion. So we try to be extra clear that our week is considered Sunday through Saturday. You can file for up to 4 weeks at a time, but only for weeks that have passed. You're not able to file weeks into the future. So once the week has concluded on the Sunday, then as of that following Monday, you can file for the previous week. The first week of some claim types is considered a waiting week and may not be paid. This applies to medical leave for yourself, except medical leave to recover from giving birth, and family leave to care for someone who has a serious health condition. You must still file a weekly claim for that waiting week, and you must still miss 8 consecutive hours of work for it to count as a waiting week. Okay, there is an additional situation, I guess, that would be able to be used, and that's called supplemental benefits. So a supplemental benefit is a payment from an employer to an employee to make up the difference between their regular wages and the benefit paid by paid family medical leave. Employers do not have to offer it, and employees do not have to accept it. It could be a salary continuation or a top-off or paid time off, PTO, and you would want to ask the employer whether your PTO is a supplemental benefit. And that becomes important to know when you're filing your weekly claims. One of the questions within the weekly claims is, did you receive PTO or holiday pay that is not considered supplemental? So supplemental benefits we don't want to be reported, but some employers have asked, as an employer, can I make up the difference for my employee? Say they make typically $900 a week, and our benefit pays them $700 a week, determined based on their eligibility. An employer can choose to offer to allow them to use their PTO to make up that difference of the 200. But an employee may want to retain their PTO balance. They may not want to dip into that. So it's something that can be offered by an employer, but it's not required that the employee utilize it. It's just an extra feature within our law. So now we're going to take a look high level at the employer role and responsibilities. So at its very base high level, an employer's role is to collect premiums, report and pay quarterly, and notify employees of the availability of the program, and also when they have something that the employer has been notified of that may enable them to be eligible for our program, the employers must notify employees at that point as well. So first up in collecting premiums. So for 2023, the total premium is 0.8% of gross wages up to the Social Security cap. And that 0.8% is split between an employee portion and an employer portion. The employee portion is 72.76% of the 0.8, and the employer portion is 27.24% of the 0.8. Again, up to the Social Security cap, which for 2023 is $160,200. Just keep in mind that employers with 50 or more employees would be responsible for that employer share. Businesses with fewer than 50 employees do not have to pay the employer portion of the premiums. And that employer portion is not passed on to the employee. The employee's portion remains the same, and the employer portion for small business would go unpaid. Please note that beginning last July, so July 1st of 2023, employers also will be collecting WellCares premiums from employees, the same as for paid leave. ESD, we are currently updating the paid leave reporting system so that employers can report for both programs at the same time using the same file. And there is additional information about how the WellCares program works on that WellCares website. So some additional breakdown of how the paid leave premium works. It's a two-step premium calculation. So you would take the total gross wages multiplied by 0.008, if you have an easier time seeing that in a decimal format, to figure out the total premium. And then you would take the total premium multiplied by the employer portion, or that 0.2724 to determine the employer portion. And then again, take the total premium and multiply by 0.7276 for the employee portion. Now, the employer can choose to pay the employee portion of the premium on behalf of the employee and not deduct it from their paycheck. But the employer can also not withhold more than the maximum. And again, businesses with fewer than 50 employees do not have to pay the employer portion of the premium, but employees at small businesses still pay the employee portion. Small business employers must still remit the employee portion of the premium, and the employees are fully eligible to receive paid leave if they have the 820 hours. If the employer collects too much, it is up to the employer to refund the employee. And if the employer collects too little, they may not retroactively collect the previous premiums owed from the employee. The responsibility belongs to the employer to pay any missed premiums due, and the employer cannot deduct this amount from a future paycheck of the employee for a different pay period. We do have a calculator available on our website to give you an idea or an example of how those premiums break down. So you would enter the gross payroll and select the year. There is a drop-down feature because we've been doing premiums and premium collection for 3 years now. So you can select the year that you would want to take a look at. And this is just put in place as an example. It's not intended to be used for businesses to calculate their premiums. It's more of an example of what those look like and what the breakdown may look like. What is business size and how does it apply to our program? So ESD calculates business size on September 30th of each year. We go back and take a look at the last 4 quarters that were reported. And take an average to figure out the average business size number of employees. And that can be full-time, seasonal, part-time employees. All of them count as employees when calculating the business size. So that calculation is used to determine the business size for the next calendar year. And it's based again on the average employee headcount. So why that is important is a business may change size if they have grown or decreased, and it may mean that for 2022, they were a small business under 50. But if they had a need to hire individuals, new individuals, extra people for a big job or for seasonal work, and we determine that they had an average of more than 50 employees across the calendar, the previous 4 quarters, then going into 2024, they may be sized as a large business. So that's why it's important to know if there is a change for the year, then we send out a letter to those employers that are experiencing a change based on that calculation. All right, reporting and payment deadlines, they follow the same guidelines as I believe most other state required reporting. So first, second, and third quarter as indicated, and then the next following month after the quarter ends is the reporting month, and you would have to have the report in by the end of that month. Please keep in mind that third-party administrators or TPAs typically report in the last few days of the reporting month. So if you're reporting towards the end of the month, your report may be delayed. If you report at the beginning of the month, you see it go through our system pretty quickly. But if you're reporting at the end of the month, it can cause additional delays because we just have those massive reports coming in from those large TPAs. So you would just keep an eye on the status on your online portal. For other additional reporting resources, you definitely are recommended to go to our website at paidleave.wa.gov/employers. And there you'll find more specifics on requirements, available checklists to make sure that you're doing everything you should as an employer, instructions on how to do things, and frequently asked questions from employers for our program. And just a last mention on notification requirements. So all Washington employees, you are required to inform your employees about the program by posting a notice in a place customarily used to post other employment-related notices. We do have those notices available in both English and Spanish, available online. And so many businesses have gone to virtual, working from home. They only have communication with their employees via message or email. So as long as you're sending that notice to your employees, even electronically, you're satisfying that requirement. If you do still have an on-site location where people are coming in to work from the location, you would want to make sure that you're posting that information where all the other posters would go, like FMLA and those other things. Individual employees. So an employer must notify individual employees 5 business days after an employee's 7th consecutive day of absence that may be due to family or medical leave, and 5 business days after you learn of an employee's absence is due to family or medical leave. So again, additional resources are available on our website. If you were to go to our website and do /help center /employers, all those documents and forms are available there. So you can, update employees, you can provide them the information in the poster, you can get a checklist there as an employer. So it's a really great resource. And then we also offer an employer newsletter that we encourage you to sign up for there with the address there on the screen. The benefits of the employer newsletter is it comes out periodically. We try to get it out once a month, but sometimes it's once every couple of months. But there's also information contained in that newsletter about employer webinars that we host through Paid Leave that dive a little bit deeper into employer requirements. Maybe you have discrepancies on your premiums. Maybe you want to understand business size better. Maybe you want more information about self-employment. We offer all of those different types of webinars available, and the sign up is through our employer newsletter. In the very near future, we will also have recordings available of our webinars that you can go back and view at a time that's convenient for you. And last but not least, if you need to contact our department, if you have questions about an employee's rights or an employer's rights, you can contact us at 833-717-2273 or at paidleave.wa.gov. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz, for that great presentation. As you can see, the Employment Security Department offers many programs that are beneficial to businesses, and yet there is a plethora of information to understand and sift through We hope this has provided you a high-level overview. You'll be able to download this presentation within 24 hours on our website, and that is posted in the chat. And in addition, I want to apologize for the technical mishap we had in the transfer of data and information to Liz's presentation. These slides do have titles, and so they will be available to you when you download them. The title slides will be listed with the information that she covered very nicely. So thank you for that. So I'm going to ask Lee and Jenna and Liz to join us now back on camera, if you would, as we've reached the Q&A period, and we'd like to just ask our listening audience if they have any questions for us. This is your time. We have approximately 20 plus minutes, and this is a time to get any questions that you may have answered, since we were providing a high-level overview with a lot of information and information with links and phone numbers that you can follow up on. So Karina, anything that you're seeing in the chat?
I have not seen any questions in the chat at this time.
Okay, good for you. You've been very resourceful putting in information there, and we'll make sure to accentuate that and let you know that there were links in there for you to take pictures of, and just know that this is available to you. Any other questions? Any questions that anyone may want to ask our presenters, who did a very thorough job? Feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and we can unmute. Any way we can assist you to ask any questions you may have of the presenters. Any comments that you have? If you don't have any questions regarding this sponsorship opportunity that Katie and Amy have provided us from the Kittitas Chamber of Commerce, any questions for Katie regarding chamber activities? Anything you'd like to make a comment on?
Do have
Okay.
a question as far as, can you share some links for PFML info?
Yes. Is that Liz? Is that something you could drop in the chat?
Sure, let me pull it up really quick. That
That'd
would
be
just
great.
be available through our website. Give me just a second.
That'd be terrific. And then as you do that, I'll transfer to the next slide at the bottom to highlight several upcoming events. And then I'll turn it over to our speakers and ask them, what's one thing you would like the audience to take away from your presentation today? If there was one thing, what would it be? And I'll come back to you in just a moment. I'd like to reinforce that our next webinars that are coming up, I'll let Katie talk a little bit about them if there's anything else she has, but we have something coming up with Kittitas on September 20th. Take it away, Katie.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the speaker's time today and the helpful information that you guys talked about. Yeah, I'm excited to share it with our business community and get some conversations going for future resources with you guys. But yes, we have our next webinar September 20th, I believe. And then as far as the Chamber World, we have a staff retreat next week where we are really looking at 2024 and the next programs and events that we'll be doing. But in September, we our Day by the Bird Festival, which is a big street festival that we get the community and businesses involved in, just really to introduce the community with our downtown businesses in Ellensburg. And then come October, we have a weekly digital marketing series where we'll be teaching business owners how to build a website, how to build effective landing pages, how to build social media accounts that are essential for their businesses. So those are the upcoming bigger events for us in September and October.
That'll be great. Thank you, Katie. Could you please drop those links in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
As your audio was a little bit breaking up a little bit, so I wanted to make sure that we have that information in the chat. That's terrific. So as a reminder, September 20th, again, we will also have a Spanish version of that from 2 to 3. So if you have colleagues who would like the presentation in Spanish, you visit restaurants or businesses whose owners are Hispanic Latino owned businesses, remind them that Kittitas is reaching out to the community to provide it in the language that they prefer. So again, September 20th, that'll be SharedWork and the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and Federal Bonding programs. And what's important about those is those are recruitment and retention programs that help you find talent, qualified talent, in which you could receive tax incentives for hiring them. You could also protect your business by using the bond, the federal bond program. Both of those are programs that are offered as a result of your tax dollars. So we look forward to you to joining us on September 20th. I'm going to turn it back over to our speaker. I'm going to start with Lee, and we'll conclude with asking Lee and our rest of the presenters, what's one thing you like our listening audience to take away from your presentation? Take it away, Lee.
Thank you. Well, the name shared work can be kind of confusing, but for me, the helpful reminder is that it allows employees to collect a share of their unemployment weekly benefit amount when you reduce their hours. So instead of taking a job or a layoff, which might eliminate a job, you can give someone a benefit through the shared work program. So I would consider employers doing this as a measure for equitability, to boost their businesses, to think about giving to the employees instead of, oh man, layoffs, or what else can we do to shorten down the staff here. So just wanted to just say, hey, there's an opportunity to give in this program. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Lee. And go ahead, Jenna. What's one thing you'd like our listening audience to take away from?
I think definitely just make sure that you're filing timely and keeping your account up to date. Once you get in that spiral of behind, it's real hard to get out of. And if you have any questions or need any help, please give us a call, 855-829-9243. We always are happy to walk everyone through how to do stuff or what the laws are pertaining to UI.
That's great. Thank you, Jenna. And Liz, what's one thing you'd like our folks to take away from about the paid family and medical leave program?
Sure, thank you. I just really want to highlight that we are here to support the reporting employers in Washington just as much as we are the benefit recipients or the employees that apply with us. We completely understand that we're not able to help and support those employees without our employer partners. So we are happy to help in any way we can employers who may need additional guidance or information or better explanations on how to do their reporting, or when there may be any sort of discrepancies or challenges with technology on the employer side. So it's not just a benefit for the employees, it's also an informational and support benefit for employers as well. We really just want to make sure that everybody's up to speed with information and that they feel like they can turn to us if they have questions. And not that it's just one-sided.
That's great. Thank you, Liz. And thank you to those who have joined us today. We appreciate you joining us for the Resources for Washington Business, co-sponsored by the Kittitas Chamber of Commerce. Today you learned about shared work, UI tax and wage reporting, and the paid family and medical leave program. These business-friendly programs are 3 of several programs that are offered by the Employment Security Department that you as an employer pay for, and we ask you to join us in your learning to make informed decisions to help your business thrive in today's economy. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again on September 20th for our next program, Shared Work, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and Federal Bonding. We wish you a very great day and the remainder of the week. See you in a month. Thank you, presenters.